Ready for a deep dive?
Always.
All right. Well, this time we're looking at India's, it seems like their big push to become a leader in AI.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're not messing around.
So we found this article in the Indian Express, and it's about this huge government initiative to really boost India's computing power, specifically for AI.
Right, like really significantly.
Yeah.
It's fascinating, actually.
So maybe you can kind of break it down for me. What is it that India is actually doing here?
Well, they've launched this thing called the Indie AI mission,
Okay.
and it's big, like really big.
Big like how?
Budget is over $1 billion US.
Whoa. Okay, so that's serious money.
Totally, yeah. And the goal is to get at least 10,000 GPUs.
Okay, now for our listeners who might not know, GPUs, those are the things that make computers run really fast, right? Especially for AI.
Exactly. They're like the engines of AI.
Okay.
And right now, NVIDIA, they pretty much have a monopoly on those chips.
Oh, right. Yeah, I've heard about that.
India's trying to change that.
Yeah. Makes sense. I mean, if they want to be a leader in AI, they don't want to have to rely on just one company.
Exactly. Imagine if, like, NVIDIA decided to cut them off or something.
Oh, wow. That would be bad.
Yeah, that's what they're trying to avoid. It could really shift the whole balance of power in the global tech industry, right?
That's a good point. So who are the companies that are like stepping up to try to be a part of this?
Well, the government, they put out a call, and 19 different companies said they wanted to be involved.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, and now they're going to, like, shortlist it down to 7.
7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's some pretty big names in the mix, like Geo Platforms,
Okay.
Tata Communications,
Yeah, I've heard of them.
even a startup, actually, from Mumbai called Yoda Data Services.
A startup. Wow, that's pretty interesting.
It is, right?
Yeah.
It shows that it's not just the giants.
Right, right. So how are they going to decide, who gets to be a part of this? Is it just like whoever offers the cheapest bid or something?
Oh, no, this is not that simple.
Right.
Like, these companies are going to have to, like, really prove themselves. They're going to give these in-depth presentations. They even have to build these things called demo portals.
Demo portal.
Yeah, basically think of it like a virtual showroom.
Okay.
So they can show off how they would make these, all these powerful GPUs accessible, like to researchers, to developers.
So it's not just about the hardware then, it's about like the whole ecosystem they're building around it.
Exactly, yeah. It's like
Yeah.
the whole package. But,
Yeah.
there's a challenge that the article brings up.
What's that?
Well, think about it. All these GPUs, all this computing power,
Yeah.
they're going to need a lot of energy to run.
Oh, right. I know data centers use a ton of energy.
Tons. And India, they're already dealing with power supply issues in some areas.
Yeah, right. I feel like I read about that in the article too.
You probably did. The IT secretary, S. Krishnan, he was even quoted saying, as we adopt AI more and more, the question is, do we have enough power supply to power that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, it's great that India is, pushing for a greener future and all, but how can they really, become an AI powerhouse without just making their energy problems even worse?
It's a good question. I mean, a lot of countries are going to face this as AI just becomes more and more a part of everything.
So what are they thinking about doing?
I mean, so far it seems like they're thinking about a lot of things, like making data centers more energy efficient, like really pushing for renewable energy sources.
Makes sense.
I even read that they're looking into this, I think it's called green hydrogen.
Green hydrogen, I've heard that term, but I don't really get what it is.
So it's this way of making hydrogen fuel, but using renewable energy.
Okay.
So it's
yeah.
supposed to be like totally clean and sustainable.
Oh, okay. So like they're really trying to do this the right way, not just build a bunch more power plants.
Yeah, they're looking for smarter solutions,
Uh-huh.
and it's going to take a lot of collaboration, like between the government, private companies, research institutions.
So it sounds like they're really putting a lot of thought into this.
Oh, yeah. They're definitely not just jumping in blindly. But there's another piece of this puzzle that's really interesting, and that's the private sector.
Ah, okay. So we've got the government setting the stage, but what about the companies that are actually, building the AI?
Exactly. That's what makes this whole thing so exciting. But maybe we should save that for part 2 of our deep dive.
So we talked about the government, laying the groundwork for AI in India, But what about the actual companies? What are they doing?
That's the key. Is not like the government can set things up,
Yeah.
but it's the private sector that's really going to be building this AI-powered future.
Right. So they're the ones developing the applications, coming up with the solutions, and actually bringing all this stuff to market.
Yeah, exactly. Like a relay race, right?
Yeah, I like that analogy.
The government's running the first leg, getting things started. Then they pass the baton to the private sector, and they take it from there.
Mm.
And we're already seeing this, starting to happen.
Oh, yeah. Like where?
Well, take Reliance Jio, for example.
Okay. Yeah. Geo. They're huge in India. Right.
Huge. And they've been investing a lot, in building up digital infrastructure.
Yeah.
Like those massive mobile networks.
Right. All that fiber optic cable they're laying down.
Exactly. And now they're turning that same kind of ambition towards AI.
So what are they actually doing? Are they building their own labs or something?
Well, it seems like they're doing, a little bit of everything. Research and development, definitely. They're buying up AI startups, too.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And they're even partnering with, the big global tech companies.
So they're really going all in.
Yeah. And get this, they're even developing their own AI chips.
Really? Their own chips. Wow, that's a big undertaking. Why do you think they're doing that?
Well, it shows just how serious they are,
Yeah.
They don't just want to use AI. They want to be the ones shaping his future. Like, they want to be major players on the global stage. And it's not just Geo either.
Oh, so who else?
Well, you've got companies like Tata Consultancy Services, Infosys, Wipro.
Right, those are the big IT companies, right?
Exactly, yeah. And they're all massively expanding their AI capabilities. They can see how AI is going to totally transform every industry. So they're investing now to get ahead of the curve.
So there's a lot of excitement in the Indian tech sector right now, huh?
Oh, tons. And it really feels like this is a turning point. This is the moment where India could really become a major player in AI,
Hmm.
while the whole global landscape is still taking shape.
But we talked about that energy issue earlier. All this AI, it's going to need a lot of power.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And that's a big question that India has to answer.
Hmm.
I mean, they've made some real progress with renewable energy, especially solar.
Right, those huge solar farms, they're pretty impressive.
They are, yeah.
Yeah.
But they still rely a lot on coal, too. So there's that tension.
Yeah, they want to be green, but they've also got this reality of their current energy situation.
Exactly. And that tension is only going to get, more intense as their AI ambitions grow.
Hmm.
But, the government seems to be aware of that. And they're looking at a bunch of different solutions.
Like what?
Well, they're trying to push for, really energy-efficient data centers.
Hmm.
And they're offering incentives to use more renewable energy.
Okay.
I even read something about them looking into, I think it was green hydrogen.
Green hydrogen. Now, that's something I've heard a lot about, but I don't really understand. What is that?
So basically, it's a way of producing hydrogen, right? But you use renewable energy sources to do it.
Hmm.
So, it's supposed to be super clean, really sustainable.
Oh, okay. So they're really thinking outside the box here. It's not just about building more power plants, right?
Exactly.
Mhm.
It's about finding these smarter ways to power all this new AI infrastructure. And, it's going to take everyone working together, the government, private companies, researchers, everyone, to make this happen.
So, okay, we've got the government, we've got the private sector, and we've got this focus on sustainable energy. Starting to sound like a pretty solid plan here.
It is, yeah. But there's one more thing that's absolutely essential that we haven't talked about yet.
What's that?
Talent. You can't have an AI revolution without the people to build it,
Well,
right?
yeah, that's a good point.
And this is actually where India has a massive advantage.
How so?
Well, they have a huge population, right?
Sure.
And a lot of them are young, and they're really tech savvy.
Yeah, I think I read somewhere that India produces more engineers than almost any other country.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And the government's really focused on, cultivating this talent pool. They've got all these education programs and skills development initiatives.
So they're not just relying on the people they have now, they're building the next generation of AI experts.
Yep. And it's not just about technical skills either. They want people who can, think critically, solve problems, be adaptable.
Which is super important in AI because it's all changing so fast.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So it really does seem like India is checking all the boxes.
Mhm.
The infrastructure, the investment, the sustainability, the talent.
It's really impressive.
It is. But of course, nothing's perfect. There are some potential challenges too.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Well-
What are some things that could hold them back?
Well, one of the big ones is data privacy.
Oh, right, of course. AI needs a ton of data to work, right? but
Yeah.
you can't just ignore people's privacy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's a global challenge, not just in India. Everyone's trying to figure out how to balance those two things. Because, if people don't trust AI, it's not going to work.
Right, right. So what else?
Well, another thing is, AI could make inequality worse.
Oh, yeah, how so?
Like if it's not used thoughtfully, it could lead to like people losing their jobs or, biased decision making and things like that. So it could end up widening the gap between the rich and the poor.
Yeah, I can see that. So it's not just about building the technology, it's about making sure that everyone benefits.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where the government's role is really, really important. They need to make sure that, AI is developed ethically, responsibly, and that it's used to benefit everyone.
Okay, so this is clearly a complex situation, full of potential, but also some real challenges.
Absolutely. And it's going to be really interesting to see how India handles all of this, in the next few years.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like I have a much better understanding of what's happening in India with AI after this conversation.
Me too.
So this has all been about, India's internal AI strategy, but I'm kind of curious, what do you think this means for the rest of the world? Like, what are the global implications of India becoming an AI powerhouse?
Ooh, that's a great question. And I think that's probably a whole other deep dive, honestly.
Yeah, you're probably right. Maybe we should save that for another time.
Sounds good.
But for now, let's move on to our final thoughts on India's AI journey. So we've spent a lot of time, going deep on India's AI ambitions, and wow, I mean, it's pretty clear that they're really serious about becoming a major player in the global AI landscape.
Yeah, I mean, from the government investing all that money in computing power to the private sector, like all that innovation, they're not messing around.
It's been really interesting kind of unpacking all the different pieces of their AI strategy,
Yeah.
seeing how they're like building that whole ecosystem and focusing on sustainability and really building up their workforce.
And, we've also talked about some of the challenges they're going to face along the way, right? Like data privacy and how AI could actually make inequality worse.
Right, because I mean, technology, it's a tool,
Hmm.
and any tool can be used for good or bad, right?
Yeah. Exactly. And that's where, like, all of us, not just India, but everyone working on AI has to make sure that we're, developing it responsibly.
Yeah.
So that it's actually beneficial for humanity.
So as we, kind of wrap up this deep dive, what are some of the key takeaways you want our listeners to like walk away with?
Well, I think the most important thing is that, India is not just like dipping their toes in the water with AI. They're diving in head first and they have a plan.
Yeah, that's a good point. And it's not just about the tech itself, right? It's about all the other stuff they're doing too, the infrastructure, the investments that focus on sustainability, all of it. It's pretty impressive.
And they're bringing this unique perspective too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because their approach is shaped by like the challenges they're facing in India.
Yeah.
So it'll be really interesting to see what kind of solutions they come up with.
Yeah, we keep talking about how India wants to be an AI powerhouse, but I'm kind of curious. What does that actually look like? What could a future where India is leading in AI, what could that actually look like?
Well, you could see advancements in healthcare, maybe even personalized education, more efficient cities, maybe even solutions to like some of the world's biggest problems, and all powered by AI that was developed in India. Pretty cool, right?
Yeah, it's a pretty powerful vision. But like we said, there are going to be like some bumps along the way, right? Data privacy, ethical concerns, bias, all that stuff. It's something that, everyone needs to think about, not just India, as AI becomes a bigger and bigger part of our lives.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we have to be really thoughtful and careful about this.
So for our listener who's been, listening to this whole conversation, what's the one thing you want them to remember, as they keep learning about AI?
I think the most important thing is that the future of AI, it's not set in stone. Like, it's something we're all creating right now through the choices we make, the things we do, and the conversations we have about it.
And, India is clearly saying they want to be part of that conversation.
Yeah.
And they want to be a leader in shaping that future.
And I think that's really exciting. India's AI journey is just beginning, and it's going to be really interesting to see where it goes, not just for them, but for all of us.
Well said. I mean, this has been a really, really fascinating deep dive. And I think our listeners are walking away with a much better understanding of what's happening with AI in India.
I hope so. I mean, this is like a complex and constantly changing landscape. And the more we talk about it, the more we understand it, the better prepared we'll all be.
Couldn't agree more. Well, I think that's a great place to wrap up. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.